say I'm shooting shots straight to the point, just like the podcast. Other teams, they run into my shooters, cause we got that. I killed the game and left the court with no condolence. I'm still gonna shoot my shot, no matter how big the moment is. She ain't like when Bess get on that phone. Yeah. You watch it from the TVs in your homes. Yeah. They finna like and sub and leave a comment down below. Yeah.
Yo, it's your boy Bess, and welcome back to the Straight to the Point podcast. And y'all, the playoffs are here, which means I got to give y'all my Eastern and Western Conference Finals prediction with my finals prediction. And by the end of this episode, you will know who Bess got winning it all. Before we get into any of that, as always, I want to thank God for waking me up this morning, allowing me to talk about sports, which is something that I love to do. Without him, I would not be here right now. If you are new to the Straight to the Point podcast, first of all, welcome. Secondly, if you want more content from me, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and also follow all my socials at the bottom of the screen for daily sports content from your boy, Bess. Starting off in the East, my Eastern Conference Finals prediction will be the Pistons and the New York Knicks. Starting off with the Pistons, who at one point this year was the best team in the NBA. They had the best record, but then, of course, Cade Cunningham went down with that collapsed lung. They dropped a couple games, and now it's the Thunder. But this team throughout the entire year showed us why they are the number one seed in the East. This Pistons team is the 9th offensive rated team in the league and the 2nd defensive rated team in the league. So they can score at a high clip and they can prevent you from scoring at a very high clip. That is a recipe for success at any level of basketball, little league, high school, college, and the NBA. If you can defend and you can score, then you're going to win the majority of your games. And that's what they did this year. We all know who Cade Cunningham is. Last year, he was an all-star caliber player, but this year, he was in MVP conversations. He was in first-team All-NBA conversations. Of course, before he had a collapsed lung and missed the 65-game threshold, so he's not eligible for any awards. But we know how special he is and how special he has been this year. Last year, he showed us glimpses of how special he is in the first round of the playoffs. In his first ever playoff appearance versus the Knicks last year, he averaged 25, 8, and 8 and showed us that the lights cannot be too bright for him. So we expect his play to elevate in these upcoming playoffs. And whenever you have a guy that on any given night can be the best player on the court, hey, you're always in every single game. I think that although he is very important, I think the X factor this year will be Jalen Duren, who last year was averaging 12 and 10. This year, he's averaging 20 and 11, right? So he has shown us that he can crash the boards clearly, right? He's a big body, big dude, nice vertical. But this year, he showed us that he can put the ball in the hoop, and that is very important. So I'm looking at a Batman in Cade Cunningham, who was in MVP conversations, and a Robin and Jalen Duren, who should be an All-NBA player this year. I don't see why not, who also could be most improved player this year. So I love the 1-2 punch that the Pistons have at their disposal. Looking at the rest of the starting five, you got Tobias Harris. We know what he can bring to the table as a vet. We also know Asar Thompson, very athletic, very good defensively, a big reason why this team was second in defensive rating this year. And then you have Duncan Robinson, who to me is one of the best shooters in the league. And to have a guy that we know can spark it up at any time. In Miami, when they made the run with Jimmy Butler, he was one of the main contributors when it came to putting the ball in the hoop from the three-point line. So this starting five to me can run with anybody. You also have guys like Kevin Huerter off the bench, who has been in the playoffs before. Karis LeVert, who has been in the playoffs before. Isaiah Stewart, who plays a good role defensively for this team. And then Dennis Jenkins, who was a backup point guard. He stepped in for Cade Cunningham when Cade got hurt with the collapsed lung and averaged 19 points and 8 assists over that 11-game span, right? So this is a guy that's coming off the bench that can low-key, replicate what Cade Cunningham brings to the table. So when Cade gets out the game, you have a guy that can come in and keep the game flowing. Not saying he's Cade Cunningham by any means, but clearly when he got an uptick in minutes and got more usage, he gave us 19 and 8 a night. That's pretty good, especially for a bench player, right? So I think this team, roster-wise, can make a run. Also, I think at the coaching position, JB Bickerstaff should be coach of the year this year, right? He was coaching arguably the best team in the league this year. He instantly put this organization into playoff contention once he got to the team. The year before he came here, they was a league worst when it came to their record. They won like less than 20 games, I want to say. And the very next year, which was last year, JB Bickerstaff had got fired from Cleveland, came here, took them to the playoffs, lost in 6 to the Knicks in the first round, but then this year made them the number 1 seed in the East. So every year they're getting better. So I can only expect them to definitely get past the first round. In the first round, they'll be facing either the Hornets tonight, the 76ers, and the Magic play. So whoever loses that game has to go against the Hornets. So you look at the Hornets, the Sixers, or the Magic. The only team I'm concerned about out of those three is the Sixers, especially if Joel can come back at some point during that series. That's the only team I would be concerned about, but I think they can definitely beat the Hornets and they can definitely beat the Magic. So the next round, they'll be playing either the Raptors or the Cavs. Not really worried about either one of them. So their path to the Eastern Conference Finals is fairly easy. That's what you get when you're the number 1 seed, right? So I think this team is set up for a very nice run. Secondly, the New York Knicks. That's who I have in this conference finals. And I know what this means. This means I have the Knicks beating the Celtics in the second round of the playoffs. I know it sounds crazy, right? But I think the Knicks can get this done. We all know what Jalen Brunson brings to the table, right? He averages 30 in the playoffs for the Knicks. Ever since he became a Knick, he's been averaging 30. So we know what he brings to the table when the lights are the brightest. So I'm not worried about him. Karl-Anthony Towns is going to be the most important player on this team during these playoffs, because if he can play like we know he can, right, then that gives you a great second option. And I think this team will be hard to beat. There are nights when Karl-Anthony Towns kind of shy away from scoring, but over the past couple of months and weeks, I've seen games where Karl-Anthony Towns is not really scoring and not really shooting, but he is crashing the boards, right? This is a guy that was averaging a double-double this year. He can, and that to me is a good it's something that you can do if you're not scoring. The least you can do is crash boards, and he can do that. But we all know he can score at a high clip. So if he can just put it together consistently throughout these playoffs, then that is a great second option. And that to me will make this Knicks team fairly unbeatable, because we all know Brunson will give you 30, right? So if Karl-Anthony Towns can give me 24 and 12 or 25 and 13, something like that on a consistent basis, then this team is going to be very tough to beat. We all know the rest of their starting five is pretty good. Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, and Mikal Bridges. And then on the bench, you got Jose Alvarado, you got Landry Shamet, you got Deuce McBride, you got Mitchell Robinson, guys that can come in and make a good impact for this team. So I love the roster. But to me, the X factor is going to be Mike Brown. That is, to me, going to be the X factor. And I think that last year they fired Tom Thibodeau, who took them to the Eastern Conference Finals. I do think they got to upgrade in Mike Brown. If you look at Mike Brown's coaching history, remember when he was with Cleveland, right? This is early LeBron, baby LeBron, right? He took this Cleveland team to the finals in the 06-07 season. Mind you, this starting five was not that good. Eric Snow, Larry Hughes. Of course, you had the all-world great LeBron James. I get it. But you also had Drew Gooden and Ilgauskas. That was your starting five, right? So I'm looking at a starting five that really just had one elite player, and the rest of them just fed off him is basically what I see when I look at these names on this starting five, right? And they beat the Pistons, who was a really good team at the time. This was a team with Chauncey Billups, and I want to say Rip Hamilton and Ben Wallace in them, right? This was a team that had went to the finals twice in the past 3 years, beating the Lakers in 04, losing to the Spurs in 05. 06, they didn't make it back to the finals, but 07, they was trying to get back to the finals. Would have been 3 finals appearances in 4 years. And LeBron James and the Cavs and Mike Brown prevented that. They went to the finals, got swept by the Spurs. But, I mean, the Spurs was a way better team, right? The Cavs wasn't really a good team. They just had a really good player. So Mike Brown was able to do that with that team, right? And then he went to the Warriors. Well, he got fired by the Lakers after that, but went to the Warriors and was the assistant coach during that dynasty. Right. So he went to an organization and went into a winning culture. And you can say he helped build that winning culture a little bit. Then after that, he found a head coaching job with the Sacramento Kings. Remember, Light the Beam? That was Mike Brown's team, right? And if looking at that team wasn't that great. I mean, De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, Malik Monk, right? I mean, that's not a crazy good team. And he was able to take this team to the playoffs instantly when he got to the Sacramento Kings. They went against the Warriors in round 1 and lost in 7. So you lost to Steph Curry, arguably top 15 player all time, in a 7-game series. To me, that's a pat on the back. You get credit for that. Right. And then the very next year, they beat the Warriors in the play-in tournament. They lost to the Pelicans in the play-in tournament. So he put this Sacramento team instantly in playoff contention. That shows me you can coach a bad team or an average roster to be a top 8 team in the conference. That to me is a flex, right? And then after that, of course, he got fired for some reason. It was 13-18 his last year in Sacramento. They didn't let him finish the season. He got fired. And then the Knicks picked him up this past offseason. And already he set the record for the best season debut record by a Knicks head coach in history. So he came in and made instant impact. I know the Knicks roster was already set and ready to go, but I think that coaching does matter. So you got to give him credit for that. So to me, having Mike Brown, to me, makes this Knicks team better in the playoffs than it was with Tom Thibodeau. Now, I will say this once again, I made this Knicks prediction going into this season. So there was no Tatum with Boston, right? So I wasn't really worried about them. But now Tatum's back, and Tatum is starting to get into his, full form. But last year, when Tatum was fully healthy, the Knicks took the lead in that series and was going to win that series regardless of Tatum being hurt or not, or getting hurt or not. So I can make an argument that Celtics team last year was better than this year. I can make that argument. So the Knicks was able to take down that Celtics team. I don't think it's crazy to say that they can take down this Celtics team in the second round this year, because that's who they have to go through, right? They play the Hawks in the first round. I'm not worried about the Hawks. They play the Celtics 9 times out of 10 in the second round, and that's going to be the toughest series. I was praying that they didn't have to see each other before the Eastern Conference Finals, because my finals prediction would have been Boston Knicks, but the Knicks got to play Boston. And hey, I'm going to stick to my gut. I'm going to stick to my pick at the beginning of the season. And I'm going with the Knicks to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. And to win this series, I do have the Knicks winning, and I'm going to say 6 or 7 games. I'm going to go 7 games. Actually, I'm going 6 games. They win in New York, game 6 versus the Pistons, and the Knicks will be in the finals for the first time since, I want to say, the 90s is what I want to say, right? And hopefully they can go ahead and maybe even win the finals. Well, we got to see who I got coming out of the West to see if that's going to happen. Now in the Western Conference, my Western Conference Finals prediction will be the Thunder and the Nuggets. All right, starting off with the Thunder, they were the best team in the league this year, right? I know the Pistons. I just talked about the Pistons taking a big hit whenever Cade Cunningham got hurt. But the Thunder, I still believe, is better than the Pistons. I do think the Thunder, this team, not only is led by who's probably going to be the MVP this year, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But I think that Shai is not even the main reason why this team is where they are. I mean, I know Shai brings you 30 a night. Shai is the MVP candidate. I'm not taking nothing away from Shai. But when I watch this Thunder team play, he's not even the one that I sit back and say, how do you beat this team? It's the depth. It's the bench that this Thunder team has that makes me say, oh my, like how are you going to beat this team? Of course, I skipped over J-Dub and Chet. J-Dub has not been healthy this year, so I don't think he was really able to, get a rhythm and get going this year, because every time he came back, he had to go away again because of injury. So I think J-Dub will get better deeper into the playoffs once he get, minutes under him, once he get games under him. But Chet Holmgren, who, if there was no Victor Wembanyama, he would be the defensive player of the year, right? He's anchoring down. Once again, I said the Pistons were the second rated defensive team. This is the first rated defensive team, right? So Chet is anchoring down the best defense in the league. That to me shows you his value and his importance. So he's the third best player on the team, right? So I really do believe that the big three for the Thunder will get the job done. That's no problem. But what I want to talk about is the depth of this Thunder team. Like I just said a couple of seconds ago, AJ Mitchell, Isaiah Joe, Cason Wallace, Alex Caruso, Jalen Williams, Jared McCain. Like, they have guys. And I didn't even say Aaron Wiggins. Like, their bench is so deep. I watch these guys come in the game and just start firing threes, and they're going in. Like, this team is so deep, and this team is very talented from top to bottom. And like I said, the thing that wows me the most is the bench. I remember watching them play the Lakers, and even though the Lakers got blown out, I seen guys come in the game. I want to say it was Isaiah Joe or Aaron Wiggins, one of the other, who dropped like 20 points in 13 minutes off the bench. Like that to me, when you have a bench that can score at a high clip, you're probably going to win 9 times out of 10, because that means that the offense does not take a hit. When Shea gets off the court, this team does not get significantly worse. And that's the scary thing about this Thunder team, right? So, yes, Shea is the head. He is the guy. But he has a whole bunch of guys behind him that can keep it going when he has either an off night, or when he is subbed out the game, or when he's in foul trouble. Like, this team is really good. And even in that starting lineup, I didn't mention Lou Dort, who is a really good three-point shooter and defensive player. I didn't mention Isaiah Hartenstein, who plays a really good role on that offense, especially facilitating. He's a good facilitator to me. And of course, he has that little mid-range hook shot that he just destroys everybody with. So this team just was put together very nice. And the thing about it, the funny thing is, there's no team in the past, and I have my notes right here. Give me 1 second, y'all. Sorry. So the last 6 NBA champs have been eliminated by the second round. Okay, the last 6 teams that won the championship, the very next year, they got eliminated in the second round or earlier, right? So history is going against the Thunder even being in the Western Conference Finals. I do think they will get to the Western Conference Finals because I think their path is crazy easy to get there. First round, you're going against either the Portland Trailblazers or the Clippers or the Warriors. No, I'm sorry. The Suns or the Clippers or the Warriors. That's who you're going against in the first round. They can beat the Suns. They can beat the Clippers. They can beat the Warriors. All of them at most 5 games. I'll give them 5 games to beat any of those teams, because none of those teams are as deep as this Thunder team. And none of those teams, like I think Kawhi Leonard maybe could match Shea. But after that, that's when it starts to get rough. Like you can have a player that can go head to head with Shea. That's cool. But then once we start going down the list, you're going to start losing those battles because of how deep this Thunder team is, right? So first round, not worried about it. Second round, they're playing either the Rockets or the Lakers. And the Lakers right now, not knowing when Luka can come back, not knowing when Austin Reeves can come back. If they play the second round without those two or without one of them, you saw with all 3 of them, they got the booty tap on national television, right? So even with 2 of the 3, or with just LeBron, I don't give them a chance to beat the Thunder. I think fully healthy, I don't think they can beat the Thunder in a 7-game series. So I think they'll take care of the Lakers and the Rockets. You know, to me, the tougher matchup would be the Lakers, fully healthy, of course. But if the Rockets can beat the Lakers in the first round because the Lakers are hurt, then the Rockets are in trouble too. Like, I think they can beat the Rockets in 5 games. So I think that their path to the Eastern Conference Finals is easy. So I think they will beat history. And of course, history also says that the last back-to-back champ was the Warriors in 17-18. So will they be able to replicate what the Warriors did? I think this team is set up to do so, and I would not be shocked if they did. The next team that I have is the Denver Nuggets. And this Nuggets team, I've been all over them since the offseason. The additions that they made in the offseason, to me, made this team arguably one of the best rosters in the league. Now, of course, record-wise, the Pistons and the Thunder, even the Spurs had a better record than this team. But I do think that this Nuggets team, to me, is one of the best rosters. And this is the only roster that I think can go toe-to-toe with the Thunder. Like, I just talked about how deep the Thunder roster is. I got to talk about this Nuggets roster, right? So, of course, you have Jokic and Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray, who we know can take it to the next level in the playoffs. As a Lakers guy, I know Jamal Murray very well, right? He has put us to sleep plenty of times in the playoffs, right? You have Jokic, who this year, first of all, he's the best player in the league. I think he's already a top 5 center all time. What he brings to the table, I have not seen before. He led the league this year in rebounds and assists that had never been done in NBA history. It's never been done in history. And he did it this year while also being top 7 in points per game. Like, Jokic this year was perfect. It was the closest thing to perfect as you gonna get when it comes to an all-around player offensively in Jokic. Like I've never seen nothing like it before, clearly, because he's the first player to ever do it, right? He averaged a triple-double this year. So Jokic is the best player in the league. I don't care what nobody says. Shea might win MVP, but that is the best player in the league. So you already have the best player in the league on your team with Jamal Murray, who is a top tier playoff performer. Aaron Gordon, who he used to be just a dunker. That's all he was. All he was dunk contest Aaron. And now he is a very important piece to a championship contender team. Like he brings the three ball, he brings defense as long as he can stay healthy, because he has a hamstring injury that's been lingering all year. If he can, stay healthy throughout this playoff run, then they're going to be very dangerous. They added Cameron Johnson this past offseason when they traded Michael Porter Jr. Cameron Johnson was on that Suns team that went to the finals against Giannis, right? So Cam Johnson has the playoff experience. Cam Johnson is a good shooter and a good defender. On the bench, Bruce Brown, who was here the first time they won a championship, he came back to this team. Tim Hardaway Jr., who they added to this team. Peyton Watson, who was young last year, got a year of experience. He's also gotten better, is on this bench. Spencer Jones, a guy that had to play a lot this year because of Peyton Watson's injury. He had to step in a lot this year, and he was able to get minutes and good, experience under his belt. Also, Julian Strother, another young guy that was on this team the past couple years, has gotten better. Christian Brown, who I didn't mention, is in the starting lineup. That's my fault. He has gotten better, right, with the experience. They also have Jonas Valanciunas, who is a really good center to be behind Jokic. Like, Jonas Valanciunas is a starting center in this league, but he's their backup center because he's playing behind the best player in the league. Like, this roster is really good. He also added Tyus Jones, who's a nice little 3-and-D guard in the league. Like, I think this roster can go toe-to-toe with the Thunder 100%. Right. And then having the best player in the league, like Jokic, can cancel out Shea. I think Jamal Murray can cancel out Jalen Williams if Jalen Williams becomes the Jalen Williams that we saw last year, the Jalen Williams that scored 40 in the finals. Jamal Murray can cancel that out. Aaron Gordon can bring the same impact offensively that Chet Holmgren brings defensively, right? You still got Christian Brown, who we all know can play well. Cameron Johnson, right? So they can go toe-to-toe with that starting five. And on the bench, they can also go toe-to-toe with them as well. This will be a 7-game series. But I'm going to lean the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets will get the job done. I think history will repeat itself. I think the Thunder will not be able to get back to the finals. And I'm going to tell you this, though. If they do get back to the finals, I would not be shocked. This Thunder team is that good. Like, I'm not sitting here saying it's a 100% chance that the Thunder will lose to the Nuggets. Not saying that at all. But this year, one thing that's kind of hurting my case is the Thunder beat the Nuggets every time when it was like fully healthy. Like Shea went 3-0, I want to say, against Jokic this year. I believe it was 3-0. I think the other times they was hurt or they didn't play. So the Nuggets really couldn't beat a full, healthy Thunder team. And the Thunder team didn't even have Jalen Williams for some of those games, right? So my argument is a little shaky a little bit, right? But I do think in a 7-game series, the Nuggets can figure it out. Last year, the Nuggets went against the Thunder in a 7-game series. And if Aaron Gordon didn't have a bad hamstring, who knows what happens in that game 7 in OKC. I'm not saying the Thunder would have lost, but it would have been closer. I think the Thunder blew out the Nuggets in that game. So I'm excited to see this series. This is the series that I'm waiting for the most, because the best player in the league versus the MVP, that to me is going to be absolute cinema. But I do have the Nuggets going ahead and going to the NBA Finals. And that leaves me with my finals prediction, which will be the Nuggets versus the Knicks. All right. And when I talked about the Eastern Conference Finals, I said maybe the Knicks can win their first title in a long time. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Nuggets will win the finals this year. I think the best player in the league will get his second finals ring, and of course his second finals MVP. I think he will be the most valuable player in that series as well. I think this Nuggets team is just top to bottom, to me, the best team in the league. I think that, yes, I talked about the Pistons because of their performance, right? They have been performing like the best team in the league. The Thunder was the best team in the league this year statistically, well, by record, and they also have a deep roster. But I think this Nuggets team, to me, has the best roster. And one thing I forgot to mention is they went on a 12-game win streak to end this season. They got hot going into the playoffs. They streaked into the playoffs. They're playing their best ball right now in the playoffs. and in the regular season, at the end of the regular season, leading into the playoffs. The Nuggets also, one thing I forgot to mention, they played the Timberwolves in round 1. Not worried about it. Then they play the Spurs in round 2, 9 times out of 10, and they beat the Spurs this year 3 times. Like, I don't think the Spurs are a problem for the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets have their number. The Spurs sat Vic and played all their starters. The Nuggets sat everybody but Jokic, and the Nuggets beat them at the end of the season. So I think the Nuggets definitely got the Spurs number. Not worried about Vic, but I do think they can reverse what happened in the regular season and beat the Thunder in 7, then come into the finals and beat the Knicks. I'm going to say in 6. I think I'm going to give Brunson and them, the respect and the credit they deserve. And I think I'm going to give the Nuggets 6 games to get the job done against the Knicks. And that is my finals prediction. And that is all I have for y'all today. Before y'all leave, please hit that subscribe button. Also, check out all my socials at the bottom of the screen for my daily sports content. Me and the boys will be having our next podcast episode Saturday morning. Okay, we're going to shoot it Friday night, and we're going to make sure we post it Saturday morning, try to get it out before the game starts. So make sure y'all stay tuned for that. Also, once again, daily sports content every day from me will be on my social media accounts, which are at the bottom of the screen. But that's all from me today, y'all. Y'all stay blessed. Much love. I'm out.
Yo, they feeling like and sub and leave a comment down below. Yo.